Video games like to challenge players in a variety of ways, one of which is injecting puzzle elements designed to challenge you in a bit of a different way and make you think outside the box. Whether it's navigating maze-like dungeons in The Legend of Zelda, using the right items to overcome obstacles in Monkey Island, or cracking safe codes in Resident Evil, there's no shortage of ways in which games can engage your mind. But certain games don't just challenge players with a puzzle that might have them scratching their heads for 20 minutes or 120 minutes, or honestly, when I was playing Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, it was a lot longer than that. Sometimes they really want you to look at things outside the box for the duration of their games. Although many of these puzzles will break players' brains, they're so ingeniously designed that it's all too easy to become enthralled by their overarching mysteries. And there's no feeling as satisfying as solving one of these puzzles without a walkthrough or a helpline. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 10 mind-bending video games that will ruin you.
It's more important than ever to get yourself a VPN. With NordVPN, you can protect your data and keep up with region-locked TV and content. Best of all, you can get signed up for 2 years of Nord with an up to 76% discount and 4 months off, plus a $50 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is click the link below or scan the QR code on screen now to make the most of this great deal.
Number 10. Blueprints, 2025. In roguelike puzzle game Blueprints, protagonist Simon arrives at his family's manor home after it's been left to him by his late great-uncle. Before he's able to claim his inheritance, though, he's tasked with having to find the manor's mysterious 46th room. On its surface, the premise of the game is simple. Players make their way through the house each day, drafting different rooms as they go, from a choice of 3 cards presented to them each time a door is opened. However, the more players uncover, the more complex the game becomes. Blueprints is constantly unfolding puzzle boxes in which stumbling upon a new clue or solving one of its many puzzles only unveils more secrets about the house and its previous occupants. Even after players do find their way to room 46, they'll quickly discover that's just like the tiny above the water piece of the iceberg that is all the mysteries and puzzles in this game. Underneath the title's cryptic puzzles and cleverly hidden clues, there's also a surprisingly moving narrative. It touches upon poignant themes of censorship, family, and expression, which resonates with players long after the credits roll. When you put all those pieces together, it's absolutely no surprise that lots of people are saying that Blueprints is absolutely in the running for Game of the Year, and I would agree, though most people I've spoken to, in fact pretty much everyone, has hit a point with this game where they're like, yeah, I feel like I've done enough, I've learned enough things. This thing gets complicated, but if you love puzzles, it is a must play. Number 9. Viewfinder, 2023. Perspective is key when navigating the serene landscapes of the critically acclaimed indie puzzler Viewfinder. Armed with a handful of Polaroid pictures, the core gameplay involves manipulating the environment by superimposing the photographs onto the 3D space in order to reach a teleporter at the end of each level. Use a photograph of an open doorway to replace a sealed gate, for example, and players can freely walk through to the other side. You can also do things like rotate a picture of a building and all of a sudden you've got a ramp to a different part of the level. Now those bits sound pretty straightforward. This one gets really complicated really quickly, but in a really satisfying way. Again, if you like complicated puzzles. Later levels introduce new mechanics like cameras on timers and optical illusions, which add further layers of complexity while keeping both the challenge and mind-bending spatial manipulation feeling fresh through the 6-hour adventure. Limited only by the number of photographs available, Viewfinder encourages players to experiment with whatever 2D images they can find in order to create inventive solutions to each challenge. Whether it's solving a timed gauntlet run or stepping into a child's drawing, each possibility is as wonderfully satisfying as the last. Viewfinder combines an ingenious concept with a really fascinating level of imagination that makes this engaging the whole way through. I originally said when I talked about this game in a previous list that I'd never seen anything like it and suspected that perhaps there wasn't. There has been something similar to this in the past, but they still absolutely nail the way that they've envisioned and delivered the mechanic. Number 8. Tunic, 2022. Although this colourful isometric action title looks like a cozy Zelda-inspired adventure, Tunic isn't as welcoming as its adorable anthropomorphic protagonist suggests. Underneath the vibrant art style and, again, as we said, absolutely adorable protagonist, there's a brutally difficult game that demands a lot of its players if you want to hit the end credits. While a large chunk of Tunic's difficulty stems from its collection of punishing enemies and bosses, the main challenge comes from how players are expected to figure everything out for themselves. Alongside dropping players into the world without any direction or objective, every piece of text and dialogue is written in its own unique language. The only clues as to what you're supposed to do are found within these scattered pages of the game's manual, and if that makes it sound like that's much easier, they're also written in the same strange language, which you don't speak. While making sense of the cryptic hints is enough of a puzzle for players to obsess over for hours and hours, that's a trivial brain teaser compared to some of the later riddles that players are faced with. The most notorious of these is the Golden Path, a 100-button code obtained from deciphering abstract hints hidden within the virtual manual. Despite its cutesy exterior, Tunic is a deceptively mind-bending game for players to absolutely lose themselves in. Number 7. Outer Wilds, 2019. Beginning life as director Alex Beecham's master thesis before being fully developed by Mobius Digital, Outer Wilds is a critically lauded puzzle game that puts exploration at the forefront. Following a brief tutorial that runs you through the basic mechanics like here is your end goal objective for right now and here's how to make the rickety spaceship go. Generally, sort of. You'll jump into that rickety spaceship and then you can just head wherever you want in the whole galaxy. It's a lot in a really good way and a difficult way. The game leaves it up to players to decide where they want to go, with just the suggestion that you're looking to learn about a race of precursor aliens whose ruins are scattered across the solar system. Now, whether you decide to go to the gradually collapsing brittle hollow or the ominous-looking dark bramble, each location is brimming with discoveries that lead players in different directions. It's by tugging at each of these enticing threads that players gradually uncover the larger secrets hidden among the stars. However, there's a catch. Not only is the difficulty in exploration and figuring out what you're supposed to be exploring for, there is a time loop to be dealt with. You have exactly 22 minutes until the sun goes supernova, and then the time loop begins anew, and everything starts running the same way back, but you can make little changes as you go. You just have to figure out which ones and why. By giving players complete freedom, every puzzle solution and jaw-dropping revelation is a satisfying eureka moment that only motivates them to go further down the cosmic rabbit hole. Upon reaching the end of this interplanetary adventure, the small title's mesmerizing finale underpins just how vast and unknowable the universe is. It's a very beautiful game. Number 6. The Talos Principle, 2014. Set in the near future in which humanity has become extinct, the Talos Principle sees players take on the role of an unnamed android tasked with solving an array of physics-based puzzles. Without offering any sort of tutorial, players are left to figure out the general gameplay loop and mechanical elements to themselves. Also, I don't know if you find this interesting, but of the 5 games I've talked about so far, I've played 4 of them and finished none of them. They're confounding ones, very interesting and unique, but if you don't hit end credits, you can still enjoy them. Whether it's using blocks to activate switches or directing lasers to power doors, the puzzle aspects are straightforward and intuitive enough for players to grasp, while still providing plenty of challenge. More layers of complexity are gradually added throughout the game, which encourages players to use their acquired knowledge to find inventive solutions without the puzzles becoming too obtuse. In addition to its head-scratching puzzles that are capable of stumping players for hours, the Talos Principle also tackles grand philosophical questions about what it means to be human, the ethics of technology, and whether there could be a higher power. Basically, whenever you're not trying to solve tricky logic puzzles in the environment, you'll be trying to solve your own existential dread as you too think about all of these incredible philosophical implications of what may or may not be. So you're gonna be confounded. Alongside its sequel, the Talos Principle stands out as one of the best puzzle games ever made. Number 5, Return of the Oberin, 2018. Created by Lucas Pope, who also did Papers, Please, another fantastic game, albeit that one I think is probably more depressing. This puts you in the shoes of a 19th century insurance investigator. More people died in this game, and yet the other one's still more depressing. Your task is to uncover the fates of the crew of the titular ship, which has mysteriously reappeared after being missing for 5 years. Equipped with a pocket watch which allows players to see the moment of a crew member's death, players must carefully examine each tableau to determine the identity of the deceased and the manner of their death. I don't want to say too much here, as you really want to have these narrative realizations for yourself, because this is a really hard game, and being able to hit the eureka moments just feels so satisfying in what it delivers back to you as a yes, oh my gosh, you figured that bit out. There's a lot more going on than what it seems like from the original murder that you're tasked with solving, which is what happened to the captain. Not long after identifying what happened to him, which is sort of what serves as the tutorial for the game, players will be pouring through the pages of the logbook as they work to stitch together the timeline of events, ensuring no vital clue has been missed. Complete with a marvelous soundtrack and presented in a striking 1-bit art style designed to replicate the look of early video games, The Return of the Oberin is a nautical mystery that's guaranteed to become the newest obsession for anyone who plays it. Number 4, Liiminal, 2019. This one's a cross between Portal and the Stanley Parable in a way. You play as a protagonist who's lost within their own dreams when this experimental dream therapy goes wrong. Guided by the soothing voice of the doctor in charge, alongside the cynical AI construct overseeing the simulation, players navigate a series of surreal puzzles that operate on dream logic as they search for a way out. Whether it's using forced perspective to alter the size of objects or spotting details cleverly hidden in the background, everything about this game is designed to get players to rethink how they see the world around them. The levels become increasingly stranger as you delve deeper and deeper into the character's subconscious in such a way that basically it makes Control's The Oldest House look absolutely logical by comparison. What starts as simple puzzles that require players to place blocks on switches soon becomes an elaborate dreamscape of misleading dead ends, visual trickery, and unexpected surprises which ensure players will never know what to expect next. Combined with smart gags, slick art design, and a poignant exploration of dreams, Liiminal is one of the most fascinating titles to emerge in recent years. Number 3, The Witness, 2016. Helmed by Jonathan Blow, who's also responsible for Braid, if you happen to play that one, The Witness is a game about solving puzzles in its most basic form. It's also about like 900 other things. As players explore the picturesque island where the title takes place, they're confronted with a variety of puzzles which basically involve drawing patterns on a grid. While these conundrums begin simply enough, the gradual introduction of new rules and mechanics sees them become increasingly cryptic as players progress deeper into the island. What's really remarkable about The Witness and fascinating in that it actually works super well is how it uses environmental clues to tell you what to do. Through careful observation of your surroundings, players can ascertain the information they need to solve the next puzzle. Each new piece of knowledge becomes a building block then that helps players make sense of the more complex puzzles you'll hit later on. But there's so much more going on in this game than initially meets the eye. As players make their way through the different areas of the island, you'll discover that the environment itself plays a huge role in uncovering the game's countless secrets. With so many hidden areas to discover, there's a lot of fascinating things for players to find. There's over 500 puzzles to solve here, so this one's absolutely designed to break your brain, which is not to mention that you'll probably be stuck on one specific tableau of 5 of these things for like an hour, or like 3 hours. I had a hard time with this one, yeah. Number 2, Inside, 2016. This one's from the developers behind Limbo, and it throws players into the shoes of an unnamed boy in red being pursued by masked guards through a forest. As players continue to make their way through this side-scrolling puzzle platformer's beautifully bleak world, they soon find themselves in a facility where strange experiments are being conducted. While the collection of puzzles within this title is straightforward compared to the other entries on this list, and if you're looking for one that you'll definitely be able to get from end to end, this is probably the easiest, it's everything else about this intriguing game that leaves it lingering in your mind long after the credits roll. There's no narrative or dialogue storytelling to tell you where you are or what's going on, and it's very in media res. But it's fascinating to work it out as you go, and it still has such a strong narrative to get involved in. Whether it's subtle background details or the mind control devices that become a major gameplay mechanic, each new discovery only raises more questions. That's especially true once you arrive at the very surreal finale. The ambiguous nature of the game means that everything is left up to interpretation. Not only will players obsess over every single detail to piece together the narrative, but the title's thematically rich subtext also leaves you pondering concepts of player agency. Like Limbo, and this probably isn't a surprise because Limbo is an absolute slam dunk of a game, Inside is a total masterclass in game design and visual storytelling. Number 1, Antichamber, 2013. Australian developer Bruce Alexander's Antichamber begins with players in the titular Antichamber, a sparse room that displays the controls on one wall and a map on the other. From here, players are free to explore in any direction they want as they try to find a means of escape. Each section of the large maze is its own unique puzzle. While many of these involve using colored cubes to block lasers that control doorways, a lot of them revolve around concepts of impossible spaces and non-Euclidean geometry, which absolutely challenges players to approach the game's world differently. As players explore the labyrinth, they'll be met with looping corridors, vanishing doorways, and optical illusions which present new ways forward when they're approached from the right direction. Trying to navigate through the game is basically the main puzzle that you'll be trying to work out, and every single time you work a little bit out, you'll be taken to a new brain-breaking location. Antichamber doesn't just play with spatial awareness, it also distorts player expectations by constantly subverting gaming conventions. A dead end might be a way forward in disguise, for example, while failing to make a jump could actually lead to a whole other area. Despite its minimalist visuals, Antichamber's abstract logic makes the game anything but simple.